Welcome to The Feed, powered by Loblaw. I'm your host, Michael LeBlanc. We conceived of The Feed podcast as an opportunity to showcase thought leaders, tastemakers, innovative food and health brands, and yes, a few key Loblaw executives who are making a difference in the grocery and health industries, together helping Canadians live life well. What happens when a journalist, a mother's determination, and a crockpot come together to create one of Canada's most successful natural skincare brands? On this episode, I sit down with Patrice Mousseau, founder and CEO of Satya Organics in Vancouver. From solving her daughter's eczema to building a nationally distributed brand, Patrice shares the remarkable story behind Satya's growth. We discuss entrepreneurship, retail expansion, Indigenous business leadership, product innovation, and the lessons every founder can learn about resilience, purpose, and building a lasting, sustainable business. Patrice, welcome to The Feed. How are you?
I'm so happy to be here.
I'm so happy we were able to get together. We're in the new facility in West Van. You and I were going to get together in December. The stars didn't align, but they have now. So thank you for making time for me.
Of course, for you, anytime.
It's not our first time on the microphone. I think we've actually shared a stage before as well. So to have our worlds connect again and intersect again is really an extra treat for me on this trip to Vancouver. Well, so I know a little bit about your story. I'm excited to catch up and find out the latest. But for the folks listening and watching at home on YouTube, tell us a bit about your background. You didn't start doing what you're doing today.
No,
it's funny. I think you and I kind of traded places a little bit. I started in more retail and brand, and then got into media. You kind of did, we're kind of opposite sides of the coin from that perspective. But tell us about yourself.
Well, I mean, like many people, I've changed careers multiple times. But my name, as I mentioned, is Patrice. I grew up actually Patricia Mousseau in Sullicout, Ontario, which is a very small town about 4 hours north of Thunder Bay. Okay. I'm a member of Fort William First Nation. And as you mentioned, this was not, entrepreneurship was not where my focus was originally. I ended up in broadcasting as being sort of one of my main careers. And consequently, I was on News World. I was the national news anchor for APTN. I worked for CBC. I had a talk show on CFRB in Toronto, a current affairs show on the iChannel. I did some music on Sirius Satellite Radio as well. I had a show on there. So that was really going to be my focus, I thought. I figured that I'd be out there being a talking head for the
telling
rest
stories,
of my life.
doing whatever, right.
Doing all those things. And then, I had a baby and the world became a different place. She developed eczema, depending on how you like to say it. I've always liked to say eczema, but Americans get so angry when you say eczema. They're like, you don't know how to say it. How do you know how to fix it?
And you pronounce Z wrong, too.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, okay, guys. Anyway, eczema, whatever. But she had it and it was bad. And I had actually interviewed someone who'd been talking about the detriments of chemicals in our cosmetics and in our everyday household items. And I had seen some of the things, the negative effects of topical steroids. And so I was like, I wasn't going to put that on my 8-month-old baby. So I went looking for an alternative on shelves that was clean and that I could see that was going to work, and I just couldn't find anything. So I thought, I'm a researcher, and I bought a crock pot.
That was part of your tradecraft of being a journalist, right? A good journalist is really a great, A, curious, and B, a great communicator, but C, a great researcher, right? You kind of go in to whatever you're doing with kind of like the background and a sense of how to get the best out of whatever story you're telling or whatever person you're talking to, right?
Yeah, I love the dig in, the finding out everything about as much as I can about everything. So, so I took that curiosity and that, research skills, because I was up all night with my baby anyway, because she wasn't sleeping. And like I said, I got this little used crock pot, which is just here in the corner.
It's going in the museum. I'll take a picture of it. I can see it right above your head on the other side.
And started experimenting, and what I came up with cleared her skin issues in 2 days. So then I had a whole crock pot left over, and I didn't know, I didn't need any more. So I ended up sharing it with people, and then I had to make 3 3 more crock pots because I didn't realize at the time what a big issue it was for so many people. And then it was probably about a year later, then I got inspired to start and think about actually running a business, which I'd never done.
Yeah, talk about that transition. Not everybody, I do talk to a lot of entrepreneurs who have this intersection of the personal and professional, right? That something missing. They can't find something. There's, exactly what you're saying, but they don't all make that leap into being, I'm going to be an entrepreneur. I'm going to change my path completely. Was it the fact that you saw there's such a good market opportunity? Like what was it that pivoted you into being an entrepreneur?
So
not an easy journey, by the way.
No, not at all. And I mean, I didn't know anything. No one in my family, in my background, in my community were entrepreneurs. Like I knew nothing about running a business. In fact, it was never something that I thought would be something that I would want to do. Just because my perceptions of business was very stereotypical, I guess. But I was interviewing a woman, her name's Madeline Shaw, for another friend for her podcast. Like she needed me to host for some reason. And we ended up hitting it off. And she said, I don't know what it is, but I feel like you need to come to this event in Vancouver called the Social Venture Institute for Women and come and meet some other women who are running businesses. And I went there and I met, people from like Skipper Autos. For me, the big one was Nature's Fair, the cereal and, company.
Yeah.
And this was a family-run business. They, no matter what, they stuck true to their values. They weren't going to compromise. And I thought, well, that sounds like something I can get behind because I feel like business had always seemed like kind of dirty, like, all about the profit, not about, actually trying to do good in the world. And I saw people who were actually trying to make a difference. And I thought, okay, well.
Opened your eyes to a new opportunity or a new path,
a new
I
way
guess.
of doing, of being in the business world. And so then I thought, okay, I'm gonna start. And I did a farmer's market in Port Moody, a winter farmer's market, and that was the first time that I decided I was going to start my business.
So tell us about the product. You've told us about the benefit of the product, but what's your product line look like, and where, what form do you deliver it in? Some of the kind of pragmatic stuff. Where do you do trade in Canada? Do you trade outside Canada? Just give us a little bit of the background.
Since the inception of the business, so we've been around for about 10 years, and we've sold into the U.S. We sold into Hong Kong. We've actually pulled out of the U.S. In last January, around a time that a certain person came into power.
Is that a tariff-related decision, or is that just something complicated?
There was multiple reasons for it. Not to say that we wouldn't go back into the U.S. in the future, which we probably will. We have a lot of customers down there who are asking us to come back or figure out a way to ship to them. We are actually looking at China. We just recently secured our Chinese trademark, and we're looking at moving into that market.
That's a big deal. A big deal. And I think the U.S. could be a good market. This MAHA movement, right, is, depending on how you frame it, is really centered around more organic or at least better solutions for the same problems, right?
Well, it's a simple product. It's made with 5 ingredients. We say minimal ingredients, maximum care. We use the full complexity of each ingredient, like people talk about the calendula, and quite often calendula is used as an extract in products. We actually use the whole flower and infuse it right into the oils. So you're getting the full chemical complexity of that flower, which is a real anti-inflammatory powerhouse. And just like really clean, simple ingredients that people know that, yes, I can see where this works. Here's the scientific studies that have been done on each individual ingredient. We can see the multiple tens of thousands of 5-star reviews of Satya, and and the fact that you can use it anywhere on your face and body. Like you don't have to be concerned about using it, in your ears. Around your mouth, around your eyes. People use it in intimate areas. People have taken it so much farther than just the eczema. People started using it for things like sunburn and bug bites and rashes and poison ivy and, sports chafing and, it's multiple things. Right. And now I have people who are using it after going through chemo.
Huh. It's interesting how you put a product out to solve a particular thing, and then it goes into the wild, and people start using it for all kinds of things you didn't exactly imagine it for. And it's in a balm, and I remember when I saw it was a balm or a stick or a cream. How is it? What's the format?
Yeah, so we have these glass jars, which is our largest format, which is also we have refill pouches of the same volume, and then we have the sticks, which are about half of the jars, but they're great because the kids really like them, and because they can do it themselves without having to have their parent come and have to put it on them. They can rub it on themselves. They're also really great for the face, especially, as I mentioned, around the eyes.
Yeah.
And everything is refillable. We have our small travel tins, which people love to just keep in their pocket and have it for everything. They're out skiing. They've got dry face, dry lips. You're on a plane, whatever. So it's sort of like the one thing that you need to have. Right. It should be in your go bag kind of thing. Yeah.
When I was on your website and you've got an About Us page, and I had to laugh when I saw all the different designations. There's like a NASCAR slide.
I know.
And it was impressive because it was clear there's so much going on in the company. I mean, be certified, first of all, right, which is a big deal. It takes a lot to get certified, but so many other things were going on. And how do you view all those designations? Is it important to you as the ethos of the business? Is it helpful as a business driver? I'm going to talk to you about some other business drivers, but do you see it as, I'm asking the wrong question. They're not about trade-offs. It's about how we go to market.
Well, for me, we were doing all these things anyway, which is, for example, when we got our B Corp certification, we sailed through. Like, we were already doing more than they were even asking for. And the same with the designations, like, we'll never experiment on animals, or, we'll never use ingredients that can cause like an allergic reaction or whatever. We're fragrance free, we're certified organic, plastic neutral, carbon neutral, like all these things, because we were already doing them. But to get the certifications, I wanted to be able to show people that, yes, this is a company that you can trust and believe in, because we want to be the best of the best.
When I look at slides like that and attributes, if I think about a product attribute page, I think of table stakes and differentiators, right? There are things that make up your product that you've just got to be competitive, and then there are things that make you different. When you think of all those different things in your product line, you're an Indigenous foundation, you're breaking through. You're one of the first, I think, in Canada, right, in terms of a brand.
Yeah, I believe we're actually the first Indigenous brand to ever be on Shoppers Drug Mart shelves.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very impressive. So do you find that as a differentiator for the business that is a material for it? Is just the ethos of the business? That
we're First Nations.
Well, that's one of the things. That's a big thing.
Yeah.
But all those things together, do they all work? And being a First Nations business?
I don't think it actually. I mean, I think people appreciate knowing that who we are as a company, as a person, and sort of the extrapolation of what our values are. But it's always been the product. The product works so well that people just will buy it once, and then they'll tell their friends, and then their friends will tell their friends, and then the staff talk about it to the customers that come in.
Right. That's the animating principle behind the success of the brand, right?
Yeah. I think so. Yeah. I mean, we try to be the best that we can, and we're we're all pretty. I think everyone in the company is pretty amazing people. But it's the product. It's so great. It works so well.
Let's talk about the facility we're in here today. So you're and it's kind of a way for me to get to, from you in your kitchen to a team, and we all build teams in kind of different ways. And what's that been like for you? Kind of like that graduation. We're in this lovely facility here, and so that's clearly a step forward for everything from making it from a kitchen into getting it co-packed or whatever. But how do you think about those things, and how do you think about building a team?
So yes, I did mention that we started in the crock pot, and then we went into the co-packer. coming back now to being able to produce everything ourselves in a site licensed Health Canada approved facility gives us so much more control back. Just not only to be able to, know what's going in the product and how it's being prepared, but also to be able to meet demand. That's been a major issue. We do like some sort of media and we sell it across the country in like 2 days. And then that's a lost opportunity because now we have no inventory. Right. So it doesn't keep us chained to somebody else's agenda.
Because you might be in 3 runs later in the co-packer, right? They're not ready to, you're somewhere in the queue.
Yeah.
Whereas now you can respond much quicker. So let's talk about building the team. For you, the difference between being the solo entrepreneur and having a team, what lessons have you learned and as you've built that?
I mean, I love working with moms. Like, honestly, just getting stuff done in like a short period of time, being very focused and committed. I find that that's been like very common for a lot of people.
So let's pick up the conversation about, is there anything about building teams, is there anything you had to unlearn? Like I can see you can build a team, you have an idea of who you work with, but is there, some entrepreneurs is letting go certain things and sharing of responsibility. Any lessons for the listeners?
As an entrepreneur, you're quite vulnerable. And when people come in, you really need help. And it can lead you to being maybe more open than you should be. With people who want, say, a part of your company or, don't do the work that they're required to do, but you're a nice person, so you're going to give them a break a little bit more over and over and over. Like, it's not to say that you can't be friends. Absolutely you can. In fact, I think we're family here at Satya, but you have to be able to pull the trigger and say, you're just not working for us. It doesn't make you a bad person. It doesn't make them a bad person. It's just not the right fit. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Let's shift gears and talk about how you took the product to market. And you mentioned Shoppers Drug Mart. That's a pretty big accomplishment. Talk about that journey and getting ready to take on. You mentioned selling out, and they've got a sell through and a sell in. And then I'm going to ask you about the small supplier program and how your experience has been. But what's your experience been taking it to retail? And what have you learned from that?
Well, my first experience with taking it to retail was actually in a kid's store. It was my first store, and I went into her and I said, this is my product, this is what it does. And she said, I am not interested because we have so much skincare. Like we're fine. And I said, well, do you have any skin issues? And she said, yeah, I have this rash under my ring finger. I can't get rid of it. Super itchy and red. And I said, I gave her one of my travel sizes. And she called me the next morning. She said, it's gone. I'll carry your product. She told friends. I talked to more people. We ended up in about 70 stores in the Lower Mainland. It was all kind of that word of mouth. Right. But it wasn't being pushy, not taking no for an answer. But I was saying, okay, well, what if you tried it? Or what if you looked at it this way? Or what if you knew somebody who might potentially need that? So, it's just really believing in what you're doing. I couldn't sell something that I really didn't believe in. I would feel dishonest. But I really know that this helps people. Right. So we ended up in those 70 stores, and then Whole Foods was interested. And at that point, I was like, okay, well, I've got to scale up. I've got to get a co-packer. They asked me to get a distributor. We ended up going with Purity Life, which blew the company up, right? Because we went from those 70 stores to 400 stores in 2 months. Yeah. Because suddenly we had national reach. Right. And now we're in thousands of stores across the country, right? And in Sobeys and Thrifties and Nature's Fairs and Choices and Avril and Rachel Berry and, all.
Because now you're on a list. You're on a broker's list, and people start hearing about it, and so they start picking it up, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And now, how did it wind up at Shoppers Drug Mart? Through the same distribution channel?
No. So it was actually through I believe the Small Business Program had reached out to the Canadian Indigenous Business Network thing. And they, said, oh, well, we'd love to meet some people who have products out there and see if they were, just to give for them, I think for them it was like education, like just helping people understand what it was required. But when we came in, we had everything that they were looking for already. Like we were ready to go, and they were kind of blown away by that, which was great.
Yeah, yeah.
And then, interestingly, I had met with the buyer for my section in Shoppers, and we were his first product that he brought in to Shoppers. So yeah, he was brand new.
Now, the small supplier program also allows you to do things that you may, at a scale that you may not be able to otherwise. Do you see it as a force multiplier for your efforts?
The small supplier program is so needed. It's fantastic. It allows us to consider growing our business that much faster than we would. Unfortunately, when I started with Shoppers, the small business program wasn't available, so I did have to pay the listing fees.
Yeah, it's pretty new, right? It's pretty new.
Yeah, but not for the next time, hopefully.
There's other things. There's other programs. I mean, it is always the case. Larger organizations, when they go and try to find innovation, sometimes it's innovation is happening really on the street. It's at the ground level. It's at the specialty store, right? It's a big leap. So what did you change about the business to, whether it's Shoppers or otherwise, to kind of scale it? Is community still important to you? Like, are there any brand attributes you said, well, we're going to have to do more of this and a little less of this? And how do you think about that at the scale you're at now? I mean,
the community is obviously, it's our main touch point. We're still very connected to all of our customers. Like I like to think like more one-on-one relationships with them. Like they know they can reach us if they need to. And we take care of any issue that they have. Our customer service is exceptional. My Jamie, she leads that, and she's incredible at it. Like she just really cares about making sure that people are happy. So she's fantastic at that. But I mean, we have all of the pieces in place, like the EDI, the 3PLs, like all of the mechanisms needed to grow a company and service somebody like a Shoppers Drug Mart were in place before we even had that conversation. So
let's talk about the other end of the equation, the creating demand end of the equation. There's, you're going to want to make sure that when people walk in a retailer that the staff know, I've got this solution, and when they're asked. But how do you look at marketing? So what do you do for external marketing to create awareness and drive interest? Let me ask you the question a different way, because you probably pull all the levers that many do. Is if you had $1 left of marketing budget, where would you spend it?
I would probably spend it talking to staff.
Okay.
I feel like if the staff are on your side and they understand the product, they are going to be the ones who are having the conversations with the customers and recommending things.
Right.
So staff for Shoppers,
staff education,
being like the pharmacy team, the beauty counter team, even though we're not in beauty, because people come in and ask.
You're beauty adjacent. I mean, it's not far away if I think of a typical layout, right, physically and all that.
But people get eczema in their eyebrows, around their eyes, all over their face. So people come in and they go to the fancy skincare where they should really be coming over to first aid where we are. And we have people in the movie industry who are now, using our product for like as a base before they put makeup on or to soothe. So it's just really,
it's kind of like a B2B influencer strategy and kind of a way of saying, do you think of influencer strategy any other way? Are you social media? I mean, how are you using AI, for example? I'm kind of trying to get some, you're being so successful, I'm trying to make sure we get the lessons for people who are thinking, can I do something with my product? Like, how do I build a business like she's done? But in some ways it's interesting because by the fact that you're like, well, I'm not sure what I do there, it hasn't been a big focus of yours. The focus has been on the trade, great product, to the trade, manage the customers and help them share their experiences.
Yeah. I believe that you can build a business over a longer period of time than we're being encouraged to. Instead of saying, I need to take this and scale like so super fast, take some time, build a good base, great structure inside your company, focus on making sure that your cost of goods is in place. You know, you have the structure. You got a good, strong company.
Not easy these days. I bet costs are probably moving around a little bit with world events and what's happening, right?
Exactly. So you want to be able to weather those storms. You don't want to be, you know, like a weak weed of a company. You want to be strong and consider that, you know, maybe you want to grow this company over 10, 20 years versus 2 to 3 years. I feel like people are just in it trying to make that quick buck. So
your advice to fellow entrepreneurs would be think farther out than you know, think of scale in terms of years and even a decade. And what would the point of arrival look like?
Yeah.
In other words.
Yeah. And what continues on? I mean, do you sell the company? Do you give it to your family? Do you give it to your community? You know, there are multiple options, and I think just selling it isn't always it shouldn't always be the thing that we think about is like growing and selling. I mean, how much do we really need? Right.
Right. Well, let's pivot to what's next for the company. Are you looking at different products? Are you looking at line extensions? You know, if we get into our kind of consumer packaged mode, you've got a great foundation of products. What's next for you?
Well, I mean, as I mentioned, potentially moving into China. They do have some, actually a higher incidence of eczema in China.
Who knew?
Than they do even in North America, and ours is quite high, like 20% of the population. So it's definitely something that we want to make available to people. You know, they are obviously interested in great organic Canadian made products. In that market. Do
you find brand Canada does well for you? I know in the food business, Canada has a great reputation as a very safe, reliable place to source food. Does that carry over, that brand Canada carry well?
Absolutely, it does. Yeah, very interested in made in Canada skincare products for sure.
So they think quality, and I know that when people have told me when they're doing business in China, it's a lot about trust and building relationships first, and that kind of is a foundation to growth. Yeah.
Well, and that in the Indigenous community is paramount as well.
Sure.
Is relationships, right? You're not in it's not transactional. It's relational. It's cyclical. So just slow your roll a little bit and try to build something solid and sustainable.
Let me ask you the last question. Same question, a different way. You know, thinking back to the kitchen and the crock pot, to where we are today, sitting here having a conversation. Is there anything you would have done differently as you think about how you built the business? And of course, this is a way for me to get to advice for people again who are thinking about doing the same thing. Any missteps or anything you'd say?
No. It's all been perfect. It's
none
been
at all.
Great.
Yeah.
No, I mean, oh my God, so many mistakes. But it's one of those things where it's like it makes you who you are. You just got to keep getting up, even though you've made those mistakes.
It's kind of the iterative nature of being an entrepreneur, right? Is you know, if you worry too much about the mistakes and let that pull you down, you're going to struggle to get where you need to go, right?
And you have to be loose on what it is that you're doing and where your path is, right? Because you don't know how circumstances are going to change. You don't know what's going to be coming down, you know, from like geopolitical issues or, you know,
or opportunities,
right? You know, whatever. You got to be a little flexible with what you're trying to do. Otherwise, the rigidity is gonna shut you down.
That's a great lesson. Flexible, resilient. I mean, everybody talks about being resilient, but that flexibility, a really great way for us to leave our end our conversation today. So thank you so much for spending time with me here at The Feed. So great to see you again. It's been a couple of years. You're doing fantastic. Congratulations on your success, and wish you much continued success.
Thank you so much, Michael.
Thanks for tuning in. If you like this episode, be sure and follow us and give us a 5-star review in your favorite podcast app, and tell your friends and colleagues all about us. New episodes of The Feed, powered by Loblaw, will show up regularly on your favorite podcast app and on our YouTube page, where you can watch the full video of each episode at The Feed, powered by Loblaw. I'm Michael LeBlanc, consumer retail growth consultant, keynote speaker and producer, and host of a series of retail trade podcasts. You can learn more about me on LinkedIn. Safe travels, everyone.